I have a brief statement. I'd like to address the rumors in the news about me taking performance-enhancing drugs, so I'll be taking questions at this time.
So you're confirming that you took PEDs before taping your shows?
Yes, before the show on Tuesday, October 29th, after having a cup of coffee at home, I went downstairs and I got another coffee from the shop before I went on air.
What? That's not against the rules.
Oh, it gets worse. On September 18th, I caved. I sipped on a 5-hour energy before the A block, before I went on TV. I'm so embarrassed for myself and my family.
Lots of people take 5-hour energy. It's not good for you, but it's also not illegal. Tell us the truth. What did you take?
Okay, well, this definitely is. On November 19th, I had...
Gotcha!
A Red Bull. Not the small ones, but the big ones from the bodega that's not even sugar-free. I poured it into my mug so that no one would notice. I hate myself.
Again, Julie, that's not illegal. We're actually here to talk about that time you drank 2 Molson Triple X's with a guest recently.
Oh, yeah, drinks with Binks. Oh, that's not a big deal at all. That's normal. We do that all the time. 8 p.m. on Fubo Sports Network. Welcome on into Call It a Night, the sports show that likes to shotgun eggnog. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, and before I begin, I want to thank movie star and comedian Tom Arnold for guest hosting for me on Monday when I was snowed in Toronto, and to our intrepid producer, Mike Lockyer, and head writer Dan Carroll, getting this baby off the ground. It was something. Now today, we are thrilled to welcome in country music star, sports fan, Jimmie Allen to the couch. Jimmie, thank you for being here with us today. I know that you're busy traveling the world doing tons of shows, but you're also a sports fan.
Oh, yeah, huge.
And which team is giving you the most grief right now?
Right now, well, my Lakers are looking good. So my Eagles are, they're killing my whole vibe right now.
Tough.
Like, I try to hold it in, and I always tell myself, you know, when I talk about my Eagles, I'm gonna do well, I'm gonna hold it in, but I just can't. Like, it's just, it's so frustrating. Like, for the simple fact, all right.
Why don't I hold you on that thought right there? Because we are going to dissect the Eagles season in a second. We're going to get into Jimmie's skyrocketing country music career, and we're going to show off our two-stepping skills later on in the show. But first, let's dive into tonight's headlines. The owners of the New York Mets are in talks to sell up to 80% of the team to billionaire Steve Cohen. The transaction would value the franchise at a baseball record $2.6 billion. But if you don't include Jacob deGrom, the team goes for about $87. That's probably how much money they're gonna spend anyway. It's like the Mets still suck. Richard Jefferson said that when the only team in the NBA to offer him a job was the Knicks, he knew it was time to retire. The Knicks PR team quickly countered the claim, which is the only defense the team has shown all season.
Oh.
It's easy, eh? The Knicks suck.
Trash.
They're trash. You would?
For a check? Yeah.
All right, maybe second career. Breaking news. After a loss to the Charlotte Hornets, the Golden State Warriors now hold the worst record in the NBA. The previous holder of the worst record was Dion Waiters versus weed edibles. Weed always wins. Always. Rex Ryan said he would get the ESPN Sunday NFL Countdown logo tattooed on his bicep if the Browns made it to the Super Bowl this year. But to make things fair, he said if the Browns come up short, they have to send pictures of their feet.
Oh.
Looks like Rex is gonna be happy this Christmas. I just love doing that face. It's just a creepy face. Carolina Panthers coach Ron Rivera was fired by the team Tuesday after a 5-7 start. Ex-players are already predicting he'll be the next coach of the New York Giants because they felt this week wasn't bad enough. Ole Miss wide receiver Elijah Moore cost his team a chance to win the Egg Bowl after he celebrated a key touchdown with 4 seconds left by lifting his leg in the end zone and pretending to pee like a dog. Moore faces team discipline and a smack on the nose with a rolled-up newspaper. Ole Miss, more like old piss, am I right? Ew, ew. Jokes just write themselves, right? Until yesterday, USC football had refused to say whether or not head coach Clay Helton would be fired. Rumors were already swirling that Helton would be replaced by one of Lori Loughlin's daughters. Now she'll just have to be head coach of the basketball team, I guess. Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton will undergo a procedure on the left foot injury that landed him on injured reserve. It's the second surgery for Carolina in the last 24 hours, with the first being the extraction of Coach Ron Rivera. Double bypass surgery. That's the headlines, and print it.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, this has been a real hootenanny so far, and more of that to come. Don't go anywhere. Jimmy is going to teach me how to two-step or something like that. I don't know. Next. I hate that I look like Wednesday Addams right now. Welcome back in to Call It a Night. We've been telling some sports jokes and having a laugh with country music star Jimmie Allen. Now, Jimmy, you just sang the national anthem at the Bears-Lions game. I mean, that sounds like Anxiety City to me. What is it like singing in front of a sold-out NFL stadium on Thanksgiving?
It's cool, you know. Like after a while, after you do the anthem a few times, you kind of you learn to tune out everything around you and just focus on that. And it was fun because I got to meet Tim Allen. I watch all his movies and I watch The Santa Claus all year round.
Great film.
Got to meet Barry Sanders.
Amazing.
And my friends Eddie and Roquan and Pat play for the Bears, so I got to see them. But it's so funny, like after singing the anthem for the Lions, I walk around and go see my buddies that play for the Bears. A few people booed,
Yeah.
but a few people cheered. That's fine.
Hey, you got a lot of friends.
Yeah,
all over the place.
I tell people I'm a one-team fan, but I'm fans of certain players because of our friendships.
Right. Is it maybe is it just social media, or like how do you just get in touch and have
Like,
friends that are so cool?
Roquan Smith, I heard about him actually because my bass player Tate's a huge Georgia Bulldogs fan, and he plays for Georgia. So Roquan started following me on Instagram. I was like, Tate, do you know who this is? He said, yo, it's Roquan Smith. Whatever. So I played a show in Chicago with Jake Owen for the radio station there. And Roquan came, and Eddie was there, and Pat, and a few other players for the Bears. So like we met and just connected and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Context, so.
Well, we know that you're a big sports fan, but we want to get into your career and being a country music star. What was it that got you sort of like hooked on wanting to do this? What inspired you, maybe from a young age?
So I grew up in this town I grew up in. At the time when I was there, it was about 750 people. I think now we have like maybe 900 and 1,200 during the summer.
Wow.
Milton, Delaware, and all my daddy listened to was country music. Like, so all my mom listened to was Christian, all my dad listened to was country. And, you know, just growing up, you know, we did things that I thought the rest of the world did, like fishing all the time, and whether it's cornhole, and whether it's hunting, whether it's, you know, church on the weekends, whether it's like mudding, you know, setting stuff on fire, whether it's one of my
Country stuff.
Yeah, one of my bad habits, a little grizzly wintergreen from time to time. Yeah, you know, to me, the world was a small town. And so the older you get, you know, you never forget where you come from, whether you try to run from it or not. So I fell in love with the stories from country music. One of my dad's favorite country artists and a good friend of mine now is Aaron Tippin. So I grew up on Aaron Tippin, Sawyer Brown, Ricochet, you know, Garth Brooks. Who else we got out that I used to listen to growing up? Of course, like Alan Jackson, Lil Texas, Montgomery Gentry when they came out in like 1999, 2000, Rascal Flatts, like Brad Paisley, you know, so many people. So being able to kind of have a genre of music where I can kind of tell a story in it, to where I didn't have to, it's the one genre where I could be myself and didn't have to hide any part of my life, you know. If I felt like wearing my boots, I could wear my boots. If I wanted to talk about my small town or my grandmama, or talk about God in a song, and talk about beer. It's the only song where you can talk about beer, a dog, women in shorts, and God in the same song.
That's very
and
true.
people not look at you like you crazy. So yeah, so for me, I was like, you know, Nashville's the place for me to go. So now I lived in New York for a little bit, lived in LA for a little bit, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And, you know, Nashville was the place for me.
How do you keep the country when you're, you know, big city guy? Like, there's no cornhole in New York City.
Nah, for me, like, I love musical theater. You know, my plan is to actually do one next year.
Oh,
in the
great.
next year. Love musical theater. I'm a beach guy. So in LA, I would, you know, just hang out, surf. I got a bunch of family there.
What show would you want to do in musical theater, like ideally?
Ideally, it would be in between Wicked, Book of Mormon. I wish Anastasia was still here, because I was here for a little bit. I would do Anastasia.
Great. I mean,
Or The Temptations. That was out.
all of these. It would be a lot of fun to do. It'd be a lot
my buddy
of work.
Brennan, you know how they had that short run of Pretty Woman?
Yes.
So my buddy Brennan was in that.
Oh,
he was
no way.
he was the lead guy.
Oh.
Yeah, he's from Nashville, so yeah.
Such a great job. Now, I was reading some of your story, and you had a really tough upbringing from, being a janitor and living in your car and these very difficult feats of adversity. How did you sort of keep going, and where did you see the light during that time?
I'm insane. For a lot of my life, I used to be ashamed of my mental illness. So I got diagnosed with bipolar when I was 13. And the perk of being bipolar is you can be depressed one moment, and you can just be super happy, like living in a car and see the great outlook on life in the midst of a horrible situation. And so I always knew where I wanted to go, and from the time I was a kid to before I got my deal, when I would write songs, I could see myself on stage performing them. When I would write my jokes, when I used to do stand-up comedy, I could see myself and try to kind of gauge how the crowd would respond and how one thing can lead to another thing. And that's kind of what motivates you and keeps you focused through the hard times, is seeing where you want to go.
Right.
And then once you get where you want to go, the only way to not become bored and just content is to set
More goals.
more goals,
Right.
set a new height you want to reach. And so that's kind of what kept me going. My grandma kept me inspired, my mama, my daddy, my siblings. Yeah, it was cool.
Well, I didn't realize you were a stand-up comedian, which is, not surprising, because you got that sparkle, honey, and you've been through a tough time, which is what comedians have done.
Tons of tough times. I had a rough time in Vegas when I was with AJ from Backstreet Boys. He played a show, so it was me, AJ, Cassidy Pope, and Lauren Elena, right? So I like to when I tell comedy, I like to tell what happens, but the story without the joke aspect in it is I sing my song, I walk to the VIP, go through the main crowd a little bit to go to the bathroom. I come back, this older lady says hi, she's probably like 65, whatever. She says, hey, loved your song, thank you so much. She was swaying a little bit because she was drunk. I was like, homegirl, tipsy. So I come back to the VIP. Next thing I know, I turn around and this old lady's looking at me right in my face. The same lady, she's like, you are amazing. And I go, thank you. Right when I say thank you, she shoves 2 fingers in my mouth. Yeah, so I'm sitting here surrounded by a bunch of people with this old lady's fingers in my mouth, tasting like, dentures and all that. My mouth. So I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking in my head, all right, I can't grab her hand and move it, because people just see me grab her hand, and when I pull out her mouth, they just see me holding her hand.
Right.
That's not a good look. I can't slap her hand. So I said, I just gotta sit here and let her have fun with my mouth until somebody decides to help me out. So I'm sitting there, and she's not just letting it sit there. Like, she's in there.
What?
I'm like,
Oh my God.
I'm thinking I'm gonna miss my period. I'm thinking I'm gonna be 2 weeks late. Finally, my manager, Brendan, he comes over, he grabs the lady, what are you doing? And moves her, and I'm just in shock. And I'm like,
Why did she do it?
how do I get the scent of Depends off my tongue? That's what I'm thinking the whole time. Like, it's bad, So moral of the story is when you're talking to drunk people, keep your mouth closed.
Yeah, wow.
Look, just
People
write it down. I'm gonna start
real
talking like
fucked
this.
up out there.
Just wait your mouth closed. You're not putting your fingers in my mouth today, buddy.
This story to go that way, but I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, we wanted to dive into some Eagles stuff, and time for one question? Yes. You said that fans should be the one to, give some insight sometimes to the team. If you had Doug Peterson here right now, what would you say?
I would say, Doug, our secondary is trash. We need to, if we don't want to bring a new secondary, we need to outscore people. And the best way to do that right now is to bring in receivers to stretch the defense so our running game can open up. And I would say 2 people you need to sign: Des Bryant and Antonio Brown. And people say, well, what about Antonio Brown's thing? How many other football players have played through legal issues?
Every single one of them.
Exactly. And my job is, you're paying him, when you hire a carpenter to build your house, right? You don't say, well, does he hold good conversations? No, you hire him to build your house. You hire these receivers to catch the football. And he can catch the football, Des Bryant can catch the football. That's how I look at it. There's like, well, he's not a good teammate. He's not good in the locker room. How many people do we have in our locker room that are good locker room players that can't catch the football?
Eagles.
It's about. I look at it. To me, it's that simple. It's about doing your job. If I pay someone, if someone's getting paid, do your job. I feel like if we bring in some sort of receiver, since Deshaun's hurt the rest of the year, Alshon keeps getting hurt. He's not 100%. And our secondary can't stop nobody. I was like, how do we bring in polarizing receivers to stretch the defense to where you got them on one side? If you got Antonio Brown on one side, Des Bryant on the other one, you put Aguilar in the slot, you rotate guys in or out. You got Jordan Howard back there when he gets back better. We got Jay Ajayi signed again. We got Miles Sanders. You got the Iron Man, Darren Sproles, if he can stay healthy. You got Clement still.
Right.
I feel like you gotta make some sort of move if you really want to have a playoff run, and even get through the season.
Yeah, well, Antonio Brown has some other off-field issues that not necessarily sure legally where they are right now, and your Carpenter, as long as he doesn't get mad about his helmet, maybe then you have.
I'm like, until he get arrested, let him catch the football. Up until he goes to jail, have them come pick him up from the game.
Bring him from jail. Okay, we're getting real crazy here on the show. Some more stuff. We're just getting cooking. When we return, we're either going to dish the dirt or we're going to drop down on the dance floor. Wow, whoa! Stay tuned. Welcome back to Call It a Night. We look too big for this set. I'm JSB. We've got country music sensation Jimmie Allen joining us here on this Thursday. We just learned a lot about his career, and now we are going to play a fun little game where we're either going to find out his secrets or make an idiot of ourselves. My secrets too, I guess. And this is our game, Watch Your Steps. All right, so we don't know the questions that we're about to ask each other. These were made up for us. And I'm going to ask you a question. You can either answer it, or if you don't want to answer it, you can dance.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is Taylor Swift?
I love Taylor Swift. Like, I was actually in her Diet Coke commercial 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Taylor Swift fan.
So I guess a 0 on that.
Yeah,
right?
she's a negative.
Right.
She's the negative. She's not bad at all.
Great. All right, now you ask me a question.
Who's been the worst guest on CIAN? You can answer.
Who was the worst guest?
Just give it 100. Who was the worst guest in your opinion? Why not? And worst could just mean they were worse because you were laughing so much you couldn't focus on your job. They were the best. They were distractions.
Yeah. Oh man, I got it.
Or just not good.
Because I've asked all my friends to be on the show, so.
All right, do the robot. That's what you gotta do.
Okay. All right. All right, that was good.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, man.
I would have much rather. I'm so glad I didn't answer that question. Okay, because I had someone in my head. You knew I did. Okay. Next question. Who was the last friend or family member whose call you let go to voicemail?
Whose call let go to voicemail?
Yeah, that you're like, I'm not answering that. You can either answer it or dance.
Oh, I think my uncle.
All right. Okay.
And my sister before that.
Okay. We are keeping it 100%.
Yeah, because I look at it like, depending on who's calling, I know if they want to talk a lot or not. So, if I don't have time or I'm just not in the mood, I'll call you back.
Fair. All right.
But I would feel bad if they died between when I could call them back and laugh.
That would be really
horrible.
sick.
So, just leave a great voicemail so if you die, I can hold on to
yeah,
that.
great.
All right. What's a job you would leave this one for?
Any jokes? The Tonight Show. I mean, come on, what? Was this supposed to be difficult? Yeah. You knew I'd say that, right? I answered the question.
Funny.
All right. Okay, which city has the worst fans? I'm gonna need you to dance at some point.
Hey, what do you... Hey.
You can dance if you don't answer.
Now I'm answering. What do you mean by worse? Are we talking about worse, they were just no energy, not involved?
Sure. What do you whatever you think the worst fans? You're like, those are the worst fans.
Burn it down.
I'm gonna say it. I gotta think because I got two in my head right now.
Okay, go. Yeah, let's go. Let's kill. These fan bases destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And now, hopefully, it's just inspiration for them to step it up next time.
Okay, what you got?
Idaho. I was in Idaho.
Yeah, no brainer.
If I'd have took a bunch of potatoes out there, they'd have been excited.
And what was number 2?
Nope, just Idaho.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, good, all right.
I'm never going back to Idaho. I can live with that. Before taxes, how much do you make a year? You want to do that or you want to salsa? Y'all not gonna get me to dance.
Yeah, I don't even really know how much I make. I mean, I spend all of it anyway, so yeah, I'll salsa.
There you go.
I got all the stupid ones.
Hey!
You can see me on the dance floor.
You should have gave me a jar of salsa so I could like sprinkle it out around your feet while you dance.
I dance like a mom.
No, cha-cha.
Oh yeah, you wanna get in there?
No,
I do dance like a mom.
cha-cha.
All right.
Are you a mom?
Okay, that's it. No, I'm not.
Not that you know of.
You
It's like, no, that's a joke they tell dads. She's like, I know what's going on with my uterus.
I mean, who knows? Any day now. All
Exactly.
right, this has been great. Okay, too bad we didn't get you to dance, but maybe after the break we'll have Jimmie dance. We're gonna do a whole lot more crazy stuff, obviously. Stay tuned. We're cruising along here on Call It a Night, but before we do just that, make sure you follow us for exclusive content like more singing and dancing with Jimmie Allen. He didn't dance, unfortunately, but we'll get him someday at Fubo Sports on Twitter. And you can also find full episodes of all the Fubo Sports Network shows for a limited time only if you subscribe to our Fubo Sports YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can stream us free 24/7 at fubosportsnetwork.com. The show just runs like all the time.
All the time.
So Jimmie, thanks for hanging out with us here today.
Thanks
we know
for
you have a
having me.
show tonight, and where can we find you next? What's the Jimmie tour like?
The rest of the tour, we're in New Jersey. Then we go to somewhere.
Yeah.
Then we go to Japan. We're getting to
Oh.
work with, I think it's USO, Armed Forces Entertainment. We're going over there with Eastern Corbin to put on some shows for our troops over there.
Awesome.
Then I close out the year in Delaware, actually. Got a show in Maryland at the Fillmore, then a show in Delaware, because every year, my way to give back to where I'm from is I play a concert and all the ticket sales. So my band will get paid, but I don't want to take money. And all the money that would go to me, I give it to a local elementary school.
Wow, that's really
and I want them
great
to
to
kind of
hear.
do something like if they see a kid in the school that has like holes, shoes with holes in them, like take that from that money and buy them a pair of shoes. See somebody that have a backpack, buy that, because I just feel like it's our job as humans anyway to when we're given a platform of success to help other people. And so many of my friends are still in that community giving back, whether they're school teachers, they're volunteer AAU basketball coaches, they're firefighters
Yeah.
and police officers. That's my way of giving back and telling a town that raised me, telling them thank you.
That is really great stuff. Thank you so much for
Thanks for
joining us
having
here
me.
today and spreading your music all around the world and your good deeds. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Make sure to tune in to Drinks with Binks Friday at 8 p.m. We have ESPN announcer John Champion. But for now, we're going to call it a night.